All right, folks, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. So this is to Scotland, Stirling, Ayr, and Glasgow, Part 1. As always, disclaimer, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So once again, we're going through when Scotland was Jewish, though this is kind of the condensed kind of Reader's Digest version. Apart from kind of like the burial records and the cemetery records, there's not really any way of shortening that because you want to go through all the surnames, But apart from that, I've kind of condensed it down a bit. And like I say, don't just rely on these videos. These are only meant as like an introduction or even an advertisement for the actual book itself. As always, I'll put in the description where you can get the book online and where you can purchase the book, which I always recommend because I like people to be rewarded for their effort, for their work, because this would have taken some effort to put together. It's very well researched. It's not perfect. There are errors, but it's certainly a very, very crucial piece of the puzzle, I would say. And the errors really are pretty minor, like getting dates wrong, like William the Conqueror invaded um, in 1060 instead of 1066, for example. Things like that. I mean, that could just be a misprint, for all we know. But I really do think this book is a valuable, valuable piece of the puzzle in terms of going back into Scotland's history and even British history overall. So, as always, check out the links in the description. So, let's get to it. So, the west of Scotland is the focus in this presentation. The chapter of the book focuses on the West, exploring who lived there between the 16th to mid 18th centuries, examining lists of burgesses, cemetery records, guild member lists, and censuses. And if there is one criticism I do have of this book, apart from maybe like minor grammar errors or getting dates slightly off, there's no real focus on Edinburgh. That's like the glaring omission for me because so many of the things that you see in like Stirling or Ayr or Aberdeen, none of it about Edinburgh is really covered all that well or all that extensively in this book. And it's like, you know, why would you skip Edinburgh? You'll kind of see what I mean when we go through it. Nobody really cares about Ayr, for example. Glasgow, yeah, fairly important. Stirling, yeah, if you're into your Braveheart history and all that, Wallace and Robert the Bruce, but nobody really associates Stirling with Jewish history or Jews in Scotland or anything like that. That's not what people think of when they think of Stirling. They think of the Battle of Stirling Bridge and the Battle of Bannockburn. But there was a community of Jewish folk in Edinburgh, and it's just completely kind of omitted or glossed over. Edinburgh really is not covered in this book at all, which is like, what? And it should have been. It just seems like, yeah, like what? But I can see why they focus on Glasgow though, and we'll get to that when we go through it. But why was Edinburgh like just kind of left out of this? I don't get that. That's bizarre to me. Because Edinburgh's the freaking capital. You know, I don't know. Anyway, maybe it falls to me to do it. Who knows? But okay, so let's get into it. So Cluny Cemetery. So in Cluny Cemetery, there are surnames that connect with clans of Sephardic origins, such as Kennedy from Candiani, or from Crete, or Turkish Kandi, king's administrator, Forbes, Phoebus, Gordon from Cohen, Davidson, Daniel's pretty obvious, Robbie, Abel, Adam, Laurie, and Lyon. There are surnames with Aramaic names such as Carnegie, Ferris, Sheriff, Cassie, Malcolm, and Norrie. The book also points out another category, persons of darker skin like black or Greek, grey, and brown. A third category are French-based names, Ramage, Norval, Ray, meaning king, uh, Gal, Gald, Moyer from Moor, Harvey, Bissett, Baron, Riddell, and Noble. The last category are Jewish names such as Bannerman, Copland, Wyness, Slesser, meaning Silesia, Money, Catanach, Proctor, Horn, Cromer, and Kellock. Symington Cemetery. The Symington Cemetery was founded in the 12th century and contains a number of Jewish Sephardic names: Arbel, Peri, Pear Tree, Yule, Samson, Cowan from Cohen, Gemmel, Corsina, Rose, Whorry, Or from gold, apparently, Pollock, meaning Polish, Spears, Curry from Arabic, Hornell, Sangster, Acres from Accra. Oh, that's why I say Accra or Acre. Been to that site before. Also to be found are Campbell, Douglas, Kennedy, Fraser, McDougall, Stewart, or Stewart, depending on how you spell it. Means the same thing, however you spell it. There are also surnames from France, like Ritchie from enriched, Ramage, branch of vine, Galt, money, Fleming, meaning of Flanders, Moffat from Hebrew, excellent, or Arabic, counselor, Wallace. Now, this is interesting, from Gaul, Wales, or Brittany, or possibly Arabic. Isn't that an eye opener? Niskets, Colville, Heneage, Bannatyne, and Kilgour. And I've always said and thought, well, I don't know if I've said it so much, but I've always thought for ages that there's a lot of connections between Islam and Scotland which are unexplored. And when you read that about Wallace, whoa, doesn't that open up your eyes a bit? But that's something I certainly intend to go into in the future. So, Girvan Cemetery. Girvan Cemetery has the same names as the previous two and some additional ones, such as Brown, Davidson, Campbell, Law, Murray, Stewart, Orr, and Bissett. I'm sure many of those were mentioned before, but anyway, we'll just let that go. New Franco Sephardic names include Patton, Alexander, Muir, Lees, Donnell, Lamb, Diamond, McKissick, Carruths, Niven, Bone, Laurie, Tarbit, Hassock, Wasson, Hart, interesting, from Hirsch in German, Sinclair, Hannah, which is Hebrew for Anne, Waddell, Ryrie, Jardine, Robinson, Austin, Marshall or Marischal, Cotes, from Costa, an old Jewish lineage, and Gardiner. Moncton Cemetery. So Moncton Cemetery is named after a Jewish family from the east of Europe, or with Eastern European branches, and connects with Caldwell and Kennedy. Also found in there are clan surnames like Gordon, Stewart, Campbell, and Sinclair. According to the book, there are also many Franco-Sephardic names there, including Brown, Muir, Moore, Gray, Law, Blackley, Cabin, Dalmahoy, like the hotel, just outside of Edinburgh, named after a Berber dynasty in Spain. Interesting. Bone, Goldie, Porteous, Hannah, Leg, Gemmel, Tinian, Alexander, Mar, Les, Whaley, Howie, Hygets, or Hyatt, which is life in Arabic, Nisbet, Bissett, Harvey, Wallace, Dalziel, Frew, Darroch, Curry, from Howry, or I don't know how you say that. I don't know. Anyway, you can see it on the screen. Howry in Arabic. I don't know. Currans, Seaton, Ray, McHarry, Smealy or Ismaili, Smee, and Howard. So the flat and table stones, and this is what I'm saying about Edinburgh. You find a lot of this in Greyfriars. So in the cemeteries of Geddes, Lochaber, and Skye, the following surnames are found: Fraser, Cameron, Sinclair, Garden, Campbell, Davidson, Morris from Maurice, French for Moses. Well, it doesn't get much more Jewish. There are also the following Franco-Sephardic names like Falconer, Rose, Hebrew Rosh from Head, McGlashan, de Moyes, de Glastalich, de Morange, de Boath, Dolas, de Alias, de Badzet, and Ellis. So apologies if I'm mispronouncing those. The book also states that flat and table stones are suggestive of Jewish burial practice. And again, you find this in Greyfriars in Edinburgh. So I'm not getting why Edinburgh was just kind of glossed over and almost completely left out of this book, because you could have done so much research in Edinburgh. In Greyfriars alone, there's a whole chapter just in Greyfriars you could put in this book based on that. And there's other graveyards in Edinburgh that have the flat table stones and things like that. It wasn't just in graveyards in the west of Scotland. or like Stirling or Glasgow or anything like that. This was in Edinburgh as well. Edinburgh's just, I don't know. Anyway, so Skye and Lochaber cemeteries. The Skye and Lochaber cemeteries had the following Jewish clan names: Fraser, Cameron, Kennedy, Stewart, and Gordon. They also have many Sephardic surnames: McTurk, McMartin, Dow from David, Rankin, Rose, Parr or Pear, Barnett, Fleming, Hannah, Scobie, Matheson, Dallas, Davidson, Sansory, Imrie, and Tommy. There is also a pyramid tombstone from the 17th century dedicated to Simon Lord Fraser of Lovat. And I tried to look for that on Google, I couldn't find it. But the idea of pyramid tombstones and things like that, well, I can think of two other examples straight off the top of my head. Stirling, just outside the castle, there's a black pyramid. And also when you go up to Balmoral in the Highlands of Scotland, the Royals, that's their retreat in Scotland. That's, their favoured location. There's a black pyramid up there as well. Though I can't remember, is it actually black? Hang on, I'll look it up just now. I'm pretty sure it is. Balmoral pyramid. Yeah, it's. I'll do the screen share thing. I'll show you. Hang on. Well, not strictly speaking black. It's more kind of grey. But you can see it there. It's in the Balmoral Estates, and I'll show you the Stirling pyramid as well while we're at it. There we go. Looking pretty black there. The Star Pyramid just outside of Stirling Castle. Interesting, isn't it? It is from another angle. You can't see the castle from any of these for some reason, but it is very, very close to the castle. And there you go. You can an open book. Yeah, that's very telling. It really is. Also, talking about like, hang on, talking about like Jewish symbols. The open book is like a Jewish symbol, and you get that in Edinburgh University. It's like right on the. In fact, I'll show you when I come out of that. I'll just show you Edinburgh University symbol. I bet if you went into the surnames of a lot of the professors from the Scottish Enlightenment, you would find the Jewish connection. Hang on, I'm still getting kind of used to this. I haven't used the share screen thing a lot, but hang on, there we go. Have a look at that. You could go into this whole symbol and point out how very, very Jewish it is. You've got the Tau cross, and you've got the open book, like that. Very Jewish. When you know what you're looking at, it's got the Tau and it's got the open book. Yet the authors, for some reason, just completely missed this. It's bizarre. Anyway, let's get back to the presentation. So in Ayr, three of the famous Sephardic clan names, Kennedy, Caldwell, and Stewart, show up. French Sephardic Jewish names such as Black, Ross, Semple, Curry, Vass, Steele from Castile, Givens, Armour, Brown, Haney, Goldie, Norval, Orr, Strobel, Alexander, Jameson, Wadi, Cowan, Wise, from German Weiss or Sage, Savage, Love, or Low, Lion, Izat, from Arabic, Meikle, Bone, Fru, Hazel, Adams, Dousty, Goody or Gowdy, Cossar, Affleck, French with spots or freckles, Mayor, Templeton, Norris from Noor, Light in Arabic, Hague, the Dutch town, Eccles, Ritchie, Kilgour, Pringle, Samson, Spears, Petey, Beaton, Fogo, Purdy, Nemo from Nemez in southern France, Lamb, Porteous, Eaton, or Etan, in Hebrew, Wiley, Dawson, Lash, Bantine, Telfer, Blacksmith, Gemmell, Haggett, Simpson, or yeah, Simpson, but with no P. Span, meaning from Spain apparently. Fleck, Boag, Belfon, Grieg or Gray, Pollock from Poland, Adam, Bone. I know I'm immature to snicker at that, but anyway. Patton, Gross, German from tall or large. Arbuckle from Hebrew, Noble, Herkes, Vine, Whorry, Lorry, Lurry, Luria, a famous rabbinic line. Interesting. Very interesting. Lamy, Imri, Napier, like Napier University, for example, another Judeo Edinburgh connection. John Napier, who's buried in St. Cuthbert's. Golney, Bowie, Kelso, Guild, Law, Tannock from Hebrew, Lowry, Beveridge, Muirhead or Moorhead, Parrot or Parrot, Corsane, Ratter, Advisor. Okay. Tarbits, Smealy or Ismaili, and Burial, Ironworker. Yeah. Imagine going into a bank and saying, "Hello, my name is Mr. Bone." Anyway, I know I'm immature. Hey, I never said it was mature. You just assumed it. Anyway, so from Flanders and Normandy, the book points out that the ending of names in L, as in ancient Hebrew names, would often include the name of God, like Samuel, Nathaniel, or Daniel, etc. I mean, Daniel's a pretty obvious Old Testament name. Most of the Spanish L were found in the names of those who followed the Normans over with William the Conqueror. These families came from Flanders and Normandy, but originally from the south of France, from a time when that region had only recently been regained from Arab control. In Islam, Al is often added to names based on, of course, Allah, and based on burial records, the book concludes that the west of Scotland was and is replete with people of Jewish and/or Moorish descent. Burgess listings. So the book now pivots to Burgess listings from Stirling and Tron. A Burgess was a resident of a borough holding a piece of land originally. But later, the definition expanded to merchants or craftsmen who were wealthy and influential. There are many surnames from the 17th to 18th centuries that suggest Jewish blood. Again, another missed opportunity here. When you know Edinburgh's history, the George Heriot School, Jingling Geordie, you know, uh, or George, was it Chalmers or Chambers? I'm trying to remember. Uh, Chalmers, I think. The George Chalmers Hospital. Hang on, I'll look it up. Yeah, from Edinburgh. I was right. George Chalmers Hospital. Um, that was another one. George Heriot School. All these things. They're just completely. Uh, um, I don't know why. Maybe it falls to me to do it. Who knows? But yeah. So anyway, 17th century Stirling. Throughout the 17th century in Stirling, the book points out the following names: Arroll, Anna, Bashop, Cassilis, Gaston, Jack or Jacob, Leom, Lion, Mushet from Moses, Orok, Rioch, meaning wind in Arabic, Savin, Shiri from Shiraz, Touch, and Year, all serving as burgesses. A century later, we find Corbett, Corsar, Cludstone, Castles, Hossey, or Hosea. Wasn't that a book in the Old Testament? I think it was. Hassock, Jaffrey, Oliphant from Elephant, Peacock, Runkeman, Rattray, Salmond from Solomon. That's interesting. And you, like Alex Salmon, for example. Like that guy needs his ego any more gassed up than it is. We also have Puris, Chartas, Pyots, Smellin, Manus, Hackets, Digits, Ruarts, Taras, Arnott from Hebrew Aaron, Lun, Cave, Skugel, Bapti, Antuus, Kubi, Bemini, Lendo, Elphinstone, covered him, Moncrief, Jolly, Montrey, Cant Burris Riddell from Arabic Rida, meaning warrior. Interesting. Anyone who knows about Greyfriars history will know the story of Thomas Riddle was apparently the inspiration for Voldemort and all the rest of it. Anyway, Scrimgeours, Isiat Blau, is that how you say it? I get the feeling I'm mispronouncing that. Taylor and Picaris, uh, Jolly, Montre, Cant, Burris, Riddell. Oh, wait, I've just messed that little bit up at the end there. Never mind. We'll pretend the last 3 or 4 seconds of that's line never happened. Jews coming to Scotland. So, according to the book, Jews coming to Scotland from Iberia from the 15th century onwards had great knowledge and skills that they took with them when they moved to other countries, as they were highly skilled in medicine, metallurgy, mining, sailing, leatherworking, glassmaking, and mercantile commerce. They were also highly literate and excellent with numbers. Middle-aged goldsmiths. The book states that almost all middle-aged goldsmiths were Jews or Moors. A list of Scottish goldsmiths reveals many Jewish names: Aitken, Aidcorn, Anad, Argo, Arnott, Bannerman, Bogey, Burrell, Davidson, Dalzell, Falconer, Gillette, like the shaving cream. Sounds like it. Green, Hector, Hoor. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Apologies. Is that Low Mossman? Now, that is a prominent name in Edinburgh. I'll get back to that at the end, though. Oric, Pollock, Simons, Vogel, and Ziegler. They also found some clan names in the records: Campbell, Christie, Douglas, Garden, Gordon, Leslie, and Stewart. You talk about names like Mossman and you're missing Edinburgh. What a missed opportunity. Hang on, let me pull it up here. John Knox House. And I'll give you an extra little bit here before we move on to the next part. My God, they really missed the boat, the authors of this book, when it came to Edinburgh. They really missed the boat somehow. I don't know why, because it's an excellent book in many ways. But you look at the John Knox house at the front here. I don't know if you can really see it. That little image right in the middle of the building. This house, the John Knox house, belonged to the Mossman family, and it's ironic because the Mossman family and John Knox didn't get along, even though they were both Jewish, by the way. But John Knox was the leader of the Presbyterian movement, and John Mossman, who was the personal kind of banker and goldsmith for the Stuart family, for like James V. John Mossman was the man who designed this crown, the same crown, by the way, that when King Charles III came to Scotland to be crowned King of Scots, that he, I don't think he put it on his head, but he like touched it or he blessed that crown. That's the same crown that was made part of the honours of Scotland. When, like I say, when Charles III came to Scotland, when the honours of Scotland were presented to him, for him to become King of Scots, he had to touch that crown. So did Queen Elizabeth II before him. That's that same crown that was made by John Mossman, the Mossman family. And then James Mossman was thought to live in the John Knox house. And I don't know if I can kind of like, enhance the image a little bit. Um, it's an interesting story if you're ever in Edinburgh. Ah, that's a shame. There we go. You can see the image there. It's a pity we can't get better pictures of it. But that Mossman image that you see. Oh, come on. Come down. That'd be awkward, computer. Bloody technology. Skynet's going to take over the world. My fucking arse. But anyway, you see the image there on the left, the Mossman marriage and lintel coat of arms. So maybe read from this a little bit. So the story of John Knox House is really the story of two people. The first is James Mossman, who was John Mossman's son, a successful goldsmith and jeweler. And Mossman married well to Mariota Arez, and the large house at Netherbow formed part of her dowry. The couple's initials decorate a marriage lintel over the door, along with the Mossman coat of arms. Mossman sounding an awful lot like Moses. Below the coat of arms is a motto in Old Scots dialect that translates as "Love God above all and your neighbour as yourself," which sounds very Old Testament. Well, New Testament as well, but you get what I mean. In addition to his business as a jeweler and goldsmith, Mossman held the important post of Keeper of the Royal Mint. He was also a staunch Catholic, like Mary Queen of Scots. When the Queen was forced to abdicate, Mossman feared that he would lose his post and the wealth that came with it. As much as his religious sympathies prompted him to join a revolt against the new Protestant government, which just means the crypto Jewish faith, but we'll get into that. Mossman and a band of Mary's supporters seized Edinburgh Castle in Mary's name. The rebels held out against the prolonged siege, the Lang Siege it was called, or the Long Siege, withstanding repeated attempts to capture the castle. But after 3 years, the Protestant opposition forced them to surrender. And also, let's see if I can get this image. There's Moses kneeling before God. Moses, Mossman, you know. I just wish I could get them all in the same frame. That would really like put the picture together for you. Like this one, it's not a great image, but there on the right at the corner, you've got Moses kneeling before God, right? The burning bush and all that, and right across from it, just off to the middle of the building, you got the Mossman coat of arms. You know, very revealing. And I guess I'll have to do it myself, but I wish somebody had made that connection before. You know, you got Moses and you got Mossman side by side. And you know, you got the Stuarts remaining staunchly Royal Catholic, Roman Catholic, you know, um, and then you got the Protestant movement. So that's almost like a Jewish civil war, and yet they're both ethnically Jewish. You know, the Stuarts Roman Catholic by religion, but they're that high Jewish bloodline, and then you got the Protestant Reformation, which is crypto Judaism. Very interesting, when you start putting it together. So let's go back to how do you close this? Stop sharing. All right. So oh yeah, I need to add it back in. So yeah, really missed the boat with the Mossman thing because they could have done a whole chapter just on the Mossmans, John Mossman and James Mossman. But anyway, clock and watchmaking. So clock and watchmaking was also almost entirely monopolized by Jews and Moors. Again, this is according to the book, not my personal opinion. Sephardic and Franco-Jewish surnames found in the records include Adams, Alexander, Corey, Curry, Davidson, Gardiner, Given, Jameson, Lowe, Muir, Orr, Savelli. Um, hang on, I'll need to zoom in a little bit. I can't see that really. Seifert, Sim, and Yule. Glassmakers include Davidson, Dow, Barrett, Waterspawn, which sounds a lot like Witherspoon, Rowan, Gardner, and Waddell. Like you mean like L.A. Waddell, for example? I'm not surprised that Colonel Waddell would have had that bloodline, put it that way. In the early 16th century, King James established a printers in Edinburgh, and a second printer was set up a few years later by a man from Aberdeen. Yeah, 1508. That's when the first book in Scotland was published, and it was published in Blackfriars Street, which is literally just up the road, a stone throw away from the John Knox house. So I'll see if I can pull it up here. I'll screen share it if I can. Let's just show you from the Royal Mile down. There's a very interesting image. Hang on. Let's see if I can bring it up here. Share screen once again. What do we find when we go into Blackfriars Street? This image over the door. Come on. I need to get a new mouse. This one sucks. Anyway, check out that image there on the right-hand side. That's highly Judaic looking. Here we go. Chipman and Myler had been awarded a monopoly license to print books in Scotland in 1507 by the King James IV, although the business may only have been short-lived, as the latest printed book by them, which has survived, is dated in 1510. The building near where this early press was established was the house of Catholic Cardinal David Beaton, a high-profile churchman who fell foul of the mob for his role in the torture and execution of the Protestant reformer George Wishart. Pretty interesting. I'm trying to kind of emphasize how close Blackfriars Street is to the John Knox house. It's literally right there. See what comes up. Google's not being my friend today, like, but it's in the lower half. Nah, Google's being a pain in the arse. Never mind. Let's just wrap up the presentation. Oh wait, that's it. No more slides. So yeah, like I say, I don't know why, but they really missed the boat with Edinburgh. I don't know why that is, but let me see here. If I go into the index of when Scotland was Jewish, because I've always kind of got it pulled up for reference if I need to make changes to any of the slides or anything like that. So just give me a wee second. See how many references there are to Edinburgh. None. None. This is in the index. Hang on. Oh, share screen again. So that's how many times Edinburgh comes up in the index of when Scotland was Jewish. You got Easter, you got Echt Churchyard, you got Education System, you got two references to King Edward I, David Eisens, Seidler, I don't know, Elgin surname, England, lots of references to England. Well, of course, but that's in the index. How many times is Edinburgh going up? 41 times in when Scotland was Jewish, but there's no direct chapters. Having said that, we go to the chapters there. You got Scotland, Stirling, and Glasgow. You've got the whole thing about the Templars. You got the Judaic colony. You got the Presbyterians and the crypto-Jewish origin. I'll get to that. That'll be a very revealing presentation. No chapter on Edinburgh though. It's referenced 41 times. I guess that's not nothing. You know, that is kind of significant. But my God, you could have had a whole book on Edinburgh. You know, just from these. I don't know why. It's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, guess it falls to me. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's an opportunity. Maybe I should write the book about the Judeo Edinburgh connections. Who knows? But anyway, thanks for watching the presentation. Take care. It went a bit longer than I anticipated because I got a bit sidetracked. That does tend to happen. I'll be recording this evening, talking about Edinburgh. The presentation will be Edinburgh, the Original Jerusalem, Part 2 with Jed. So we got that to look forward to. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time.